Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm with GovDirections. I'm one of the founders of GovDirections, and I'm glad you're here today to join us in this GovSchool session. We have a number of areas that we cover for topical reasons, and one of those is sort of a focus on federal. And today is a part of that series, and where we're going to talk about set-asides. Just as a reminder, this is a recorded session. Please maintain your privacy. If you do have a question, you can either type in the chat room. Remember, that's going to be available for others in the future, or you can raise your hand, TechnoSpeak, and I'll give you a call. We have about 30 individuals registered for this session, and they'll be coming in and out. And we'll have this available to you, recorded version, after we complete this today. It generally takes about a couple hours before we're able to post that. And just as another reminder, GovSchool is at govschool.com. You can come in and see our session schedule. We have a light schedule these next 2 weeks as we wrap up the summer sessions and get started back after Labor Day with our entrepreneur series, a very popular topic for our membership. Have a really good crowd there with Professor Chris Hanks. So make sure you join us that. But today we're going to focus on set-asides 101. And before I go there, I will point out that over on to the right here, we do have our library, and that is where the sessions will be stored afterwards. And you can just click there and go in and see some of the ones that we've done more recently. And of course, this one will be on the focus on federal area of the platform. Today we have with us, we have two individuals, Dr. Cynthia Harper and Danielle Miller, and their backgrounds here, and they're here to give us an informational session about set-asides. Both these individuals are well thought of and come to us highly recommended. I've known them for a little while now, and we had asked them to come here and share their knowledge with you. And I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves as we get started. And I'm going to play the technical person behind the scenes to make sure everything's working properly. And watch out for those questions for you and call attention to those. But welcome, Cynthia and Danielle. How are you doing this morning?
Great.
We're wonderful. Thank you.
So won't you get us started there, Cynthia?
Well, great. Well, thank you all so much for having us. What an incredible topic to bring to the platform at this time, set-asides, as I think it's a great time for small businesses to do just that, to prepare for what's coming. It seems as though we're in a conundrum with COVID-19, but actually we're in a preparation phase. And that's one thing that Danielle and I are excited about. So just to give you a little history, it's more than 20 something years ago when I wanted to get involved with government contracting. And I was very fortunate to get involved with a company by the name of Eagle Group. Eagle Group was it was a brigadier general Johnson, who owned this company. I think he had probably 3,000 government contracting employees nationwide at the time. So he had won multi-millions of dollars of contracts with Lockheed and the military and all these great things. And so I was fortunate back then to be mentored by this company. So I've learned so much. I want to say this to you. It's not an easy fix. It's not an overnight success. Been in the last 20 years with government contracting myself, I've seen so many great things. I was very fortunate to be a part of the $100 million contract win probably about 15, 18 years ago through Eagle Connection. They chose me as their partner. They needed a minority female. And one of the great reasons I was chosen, because I had a certification as a woman-owned business, and I was a DBE at the time. So just to let you know, set-asides are very important. And I fit the bill, what they needed to go in and win the contract with Lockheed Martin to take over the CDC. It's exciting to be a part of all that, but it is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. I've worked directly with government agencies. I've worked directly with small businesses, and it expanded to large businesses, because a part of government contracting now, many of the large companies, in fact, most of the large companies are very active in the government market. So as a small business, it's a great feat when you learn to partner, because you have the set aside with the larger entities, like the major companies like Lockheed and Coke and IBM or Cox or Delta. And I've enjoyed that. And then you get to partner and marry those groups with different government agencies, that are bidding on things, Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services. All of these agencies buy services. But one of the things that make a set aside so important is they buy services from people that are deemed qualified because they have to meet certain numbers. So I feel really good about this today with Danielle and I talking to you all about the value of your set asides. Because when you work directly with procurement managers and small business officers and OSTBUs and all of these different entities that are enveloped within the government market, to be a set-aside company is very, very important. So we offer full service government contracting consulting. We start from the beginning to the end to help you collaborate to win, because you can't really win in the government market without good partners. Thank you, Mark. You can go to the next page. Oops, can you? Okay, good, you're good, great. So one of the things that we do when we first meet with you as a small business is we want to make sure that you're ready for the government market. It's not rocket science work. Literally, we just want to make sure. And we do a 20 to 30 point assessment on you to determine if your capability statement is qualified, to make sure that the right data is in the right place. Make sure that you understand the difference between the agencies, the procurement managers, the buy-in power, and understand what you have they really need. But in order to connect you with that, we need to make sure that you have all the details in place. So we do an assessment, and it's a very painless assessment to determine your qualifications to do business. And if you're not there, it's not difficult, of course, to make sure that we get you there. We're excited about that. We talk about the government contracts. We look at you and we decide, after we make a good assessment, what's the best set aside for you? What's the best certification that you should take? Because in the government market, the most important thing really is to have the right certification and to partner you with the agency who purchases from what you sell. In fact, we know the government buys what, Danielle? Everything from water to clothes. There is nothing that you can offer the government some of everything, but you really do need the relationships with the contracting officers, the procurement managers, the program managers. And that's some of the things that we do with the government contracting. We will show you as a government contractor, which vendor is good for you. How do we get these relationships in the triangle aligned with what's good for what you are selling? We coach you along to make sure that throughout the process, that the business development is managed, that your marketing is managed, that your certifications are properly. And so all of that's part of the first stages of this. We help you get prepared. We know without preparation, we can't take off. And we don't want to take off and not be ready, because when they call, we want to be able to hit the ground running. Please excuse my raspy voice. And then we help you build the relationships with these different entities and agencies so that they will know that you are available, that you can provide the services that they're looking for. Thank you, Mark. And so Danielle's going to talk to you about some of the incredible certifications that she does.
Yes, and that was great to lead off, moving into set-asides, and then now talking about the certifications, which essentially will be the set-asides. So just like Cynthia mentioned, it's all about preparation. Once we start talking about these different certifications and how to leverage your business, it's very important to remember what Cynthia just talked about. A lot of government contracting does have to do with relationships, building your foundation and understanding the procurement process. So once you get these certifications that are essentially the government set-asides, you will know what to do with it and be prepared to use it when the time comes. So first and foremost, before I get into the actual certification services, let's talk about what an actual government set-aside is. So what is it? It's basically what the government uses to help small business and make an even playing field for small businesses versus large businesses in the government contracting space. So what they do is they have 4 different set-aside certifications, which is the woman-owned small business, the service-disabled veteran-owned small business, the Hubzone, which stands for historically underutilized business zone, and the 8A business development program. There are 4 different programs that they set aside for small businesses and put a certain amount of money into each one of these certifications that other businesses who are not in these certifications cannot compete after these particular opportunities. So it basically helps small business compete for government contractors, government contracts. So let's talk about the women-owned small business. What that is a certification just for women in the federal contracting space. They have what they call the women-owned small business certification, and you also have the economically disadvantaged women-owned small business certification. So as long as you are a woman-owned small business and you own 51% of your business, you can either get certified through a third-party certifier, or you can get certified directly through SBA themselves. They even have self-certification options for the woman-owned small business. Now for the EDWSB, there are certain income requirements and certain income requirements for the EDWSB that you have to follow in order to qualify for that certification. The second one that we have is the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Certification, which is the SDVOSB or the VOSB certification. This is strictly set aside for those who are veterans. And again, they have to be 51% owner of the business, and you get qualified through through the VA, through the Veteran Affairs. We also have the Hubzone. So the Hubzone is a certification specifically for businesses who are located in a Hubzone area. So you have to get certified if your business is in a Hubzone. Also, if there are certain qualifications for your employees, they also have to live in a Hubzone area in order to qualify for that. Now the 8A is the big one. This is one that is set aside for socially disadvantaged and economically disadvantaged business owners. So as long as you are considered socially and economically disadvantaged, you can qualify for the 8A certification. Now, the big thing to understand about the 8A certification that it is a 9-year business development program. So once you're in it, you really want to understand how to use this certification and how to leverage it for your business. Now, there's also another thing that the 8A offers that the other certifications do not offer, which is sole sourcing. This is another term that's very important in government contracting. So what sole sourcing means is that a contracting officer can award your company a contract without putting it out for bid for other people to see that. That is really important when you're in a huge competitive market, that if you build the right relationship with a contracting officer, they can give you a direct award without any other company ever knowing about that particular opportunity. So it's very important to go back to what Cynthia said about building relationships before you get into certain certification services. So with the 8A Business Development Program, they can directly award your company up to $4 million for each contract, up to $4 million, sole source, without ever putting it out for bid or for any other company to know. So one of the different strategies that we use for the 8A certification with building relationships with contracting officers is that if they understand that your business can offer what they're looking for, they can actually call you directly, or you can set up a capability briefing, which is a presentation with the actual contracting officer to discuss your capabilities and how you can meet their needs. And if they feel like you meet their needs and you can negotiate a great price with them, they can give you a direct award based on that presentation. So that is very, very important. And it's a really great tool for small businesses to leverage themselves in this competitive market. So again, to recap, we did talk about the woman-owned small business. We did talk about the service disabled veteran-owned small business, the Hubzone, and the 8A certification. Those are the 4 set-aside certifications in the federal market. Now, even though those are the 4 that are set aside, there are other certifications and there are other contracting vehicles that you can use to leverage your business. The other one is the GSA schedule. So that's actually through the General Service Administration. And you can get a contract. A GSA schedule is a contract with GSA that also helps leverage your business. So how do you use that? It is basically, in a nutshell, a catalog that the government uses that already has a negotiated price. You already have your services negotiated with the government. And so if a government buyer is looking for something that you offer, they can actually look up your GSA schedule and they can pick and choose from GSA schedule, opposed to just putting an opportunity out for open competition for all contractors who don't hold a GSA schedule. So it's a great buying power for both the government, and it's also a great leverage for a small business. We also have state certifications. Oh, Cynthia, did you have a question?
And I was just going to talk about the 8A, you know, often because the 8A is the large certification and people really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
We don't advise people to go after that immediately. That's something that you need to work your way into. Yeah, go ahead on that.
Absolutely, great point. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Cynthia. It is definitely something that you just do not want to dive into. And there are some requirements in order to apply for that 8A certification. Your business must be in business and generating revenue for at least 2 years before you apply for that particular certification. There are waivers and there are times where companies can get in it prior to that, but it's not recommended. You can circumvent that 2-year process if you use your personal resume or they feel that your company is viable enough to get the 8A certification. But again, everything is based on relationships. So say for instance, and we'll just use this as an example. If you're a company and you have extensive personal background in a certain area, and you feel that you can become 8A certified prior to the 2 years. However, you have not really done a lot of government contracting or built relationships with government agencies.
Danielle, I think we may have lost your audio there. But did you?
We've lost your audio, Danielle.
You may have hit your mute button by, let's just see here.
So now what do you do?
There we go. Yeah.
You have, oh, you lost me for a second?
Yeah, we lost you just for a second, but you know, we saw you making a lot of motion there. So we got a little bit of that by reading the lips. How about that?
Oh,
but
sorry.
It's just that's the part about technology we can't control. But go ahead there. That was great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hopefully you didn't miss too much. So, I'll just kind of back up just a little bit. So say, for instance, you won or you were awarded the 8A certification. So great, you have it, but you have not built these relationships. So now that you're in, the SBA has felt that you are viable enough to get the 8A certification. You have 9 years to maximize that value before you graduate. Once you graduate from the 8A, there's no going back. You cannot reapply, and there's very strict stipulations on family members and colleagues and partners in order to get back into it. So they're very strict about that as well. So what we see, and oftentimes we'll have a company that gets in the 8A certification, and then now they're trying to work it the best way that they can. Now they can utilize the set-asides, which is great. If you go to beta.sam.gov, then yes, you can utilize the set-aside options. You can search for opportunities that are set aside specifically for 8A, which is great because it narrows your pool of competition, meaning other companies who are not 8A certified cannot compete after that particular solicitation. So that is great to utilize that, but to really max
We're losing the audio just again. I'm not
losing
sure
the
what's
audio.
going. Yeah, but as Danielle's watching here, I'll kind of come over just a little bit.
8A
This is
unless
one
you-
reason. This is Danielle. We did lose you just briefly again on the
Okay.
audio, and it less than a half a minute. But just as as we move into the continue, but this is probably one reason why the assessment makes so much sense at the beginning of the sessions with you, so that you can come in and help each of these companies understand which is the best certification to go after, which ones you really do kind of qualify for, as opposed to just as a scattershot sort of approach that a lot of companies will do. They'll go in and actually go to that at beta.sam.gov, and while there's opportunities there, you're not really pinpointing those.
Yes.
You there, Daniel? Okay, good.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's one avenue to go. You can go to beta.sam.gov and you can utilize the set aside options there to compete after, RFPs that are specifically set aside for 8A, Hubzone, SDVOSB, and WSB. But one of the things I was mentioning, to really maximize the sole sourcing, which is the direct award to 8A, it heavily relies on relationships and getting your foot in the door. And what you don't want to do is spend 2 to 3 years building relationships with contracting officers, because now you're eating at your time in that program. After 9 years, you've graduated. And I've seen it, unfortunately, too many times where a client will come to me at year 6 and they have tried, they've competed, and they don't understand why they haven't really been able to utilize the 8A. They haven't won any contracts under it. And unfortunately, they didn't even know about sole sourcing. And so now you have 3 years to try to make something really happen for them. And anyone that's in business knows that building a trusting relationship sometimes takes time. You know, you don't want to be on that time constraint. So thank you, Cynthia, for mentioning that. But just to recap on the other ones as well, in order to find these opportunities that are set aside just for your particular certification or your business, is that you do go to beta.sam.gov and you can actually search for RFPs or solicitations that are just set aside basically for those particular certifications. So so that's how you would find those particular opportunities. And I didn't know if anybody had any questions in regards to that before we move forward.
I think it's a good time to stop to see if there's any questions. Yeah. So is there any questions from the audience?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat, and it says, what did she say? Is there a certification for total small business set aside?
Okay, there's not a particular certification for total small business set aside, but that is a category in beta.sam.gov. And basically what that states is that only a small business can compete after that particular solicitation, but it's not an actual certification. So there are times where the government will eliminate large businesses for going after particular opportunities, because again, they're trying to even that playing field a little bit for small businesses. And just to give you some insight on how they do that, they do what they call a source assault or request for information, which is the government's way of doing a market research. So if I'm a contracting officer and I have a service that I want to procure out, I want to know what is the best way I can get this done, and how am I including small businesses or minority-owned businesses, and how can I do that in this particular opportunity? So what I would do, oh, sorry, did you guys lose me again?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. So what I would do as a contracting officer is I would put out a source assault or a request for information. And based on the responses that I get back, if I have, say, for instance, a lot of small businesses responding back to this particular opportunity, or within those small businesses, majority of them were woman-owned small businesses, I can say there's enough capability out there that I can actually set aside this particular opportunity for a woman-owned small business. And or if the response comes back where there are a lot of small businesses that can handle this particular opportunity, then I can say I will set this aside just for small businesses only. But yeah, in short, yes, there's no certification for that in particular.
Thank you for that question. Any more questions? Okay, we can go forward. Yeah.
Okay, and so just to move forward, real quick, I'm going to say something else about the federal certifications before we move on to the other ones. I apologize. Another great tool, and we'll discuss this more, Cynthia will probably bring it up during intake sessions, are different ways to leverage that certification outside the government, and that's through strategic partnerships and collaborations. So we will also go into detail, which is set for a whole nother conversation where we can let you understand how you can leverage your business through the strategic partnerships to go after particular opportunities. But directly with the government, those are some of the advantages that you would have. Okay.
And the good thing about that is those people are looking for you. I think, Daniel, that's a good thing. They're looking for small businesses who are qualified, because they can't win these contracts without you and your set aside. So you play a vital part in the success in these larger companies. once you are qualified and set aside to do business with them, and you have all the proper documentation and you can perform and procure the services, they're looking for you. And that's one of the good things about collaborating you with the right partners. So that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And we do have a few on here, and then we're going to, of course, move forward in just a moment here. But yeah, there's the GSA schedule that I mentioned, which is another contracting vehicle to leverage your business. And also on, there are some state certifications that help you leverage your business with state and corporations, which will be the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which is the DBE. You have the Airport Concession Business Enterprise, which obviously is a certification that leverage your business with the airport procurement. You have the Minority Business Enterprise, the Woman Business Enterprise, and the Small Business Enterprise. So those are also certifications that will help you leverage your business on the local and state level, as well as with larger businesses and larger corporations. Okay, and Mark, you can move on to the next. So we are going to just briefly discuss other things that we discuss with our clients and small businesses on how to leverage your business. So now that you have a certification, after Cynthia has spoken with you and you realize, okay, there are certain services that you need to leverage your business in the government space. You figured out what certification you have. Now, how do you use it is basically the next step. How do we use these certifications? Well, we offer proposal management and writing, which once you find an opportunity that you're interested in, then we can help you cipher through that opportunity, understand how your business can fulfill it, and help you through the proposal management and writing. Because it's great that you have it. It's great that you have your certification, that you have now eliminated your pool of competition. You're now leveraging your business over other companies, but what do you do with it? And so that's where we would help with the proposal management and writing so you can win an opportunity. So, so that would be the next step. So we just go through a repeatable, tailored process for your company. We help you manage the data calls. We help you understand how to create a gap analysis between you and your strategic partner. We can track all the updates and changes with the RFP and help you understand what that means and what to do with it. And we also advise when to schedule a capability briefing or conference with the contracting officer or the government point of contact. So all these are very important as well. Mark, if you want to move on to the next one.
Danielle, let me ask you a question for Ron. Ron is putting a question for us inside of the chat, which is a good question for other people to answer. He's about the classes for the Hubzone certification. I don't know if there's a lot of training for Hubzone. I know, we know how to acquire the Hubzone, but an SBA does training for the Hubzone, but we actually help you determine what's the Hubzone for your area where you're serving. Can you explain that to him a little more?
Yes, there are there's some free training that you can take through the PTAC, which is the Georgia Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And you can also, exactly, Cynthia, you can go to SBA. They offer all kinds of training classes or informational classes on all the different certifications, Hubzone, WSB, STVSB, and 8A. So there are times if you go to the SBA website, you can schedule and you can look on their schedule to see what type of webinars that they have coming up, and you can register for those webinars so you can be a part of that to get more information. But again, there's probably not a whole lot of training out there, but yes, we tell you what to do with it and how to obtain.
So it does sound like we've lost your voice again, Danielle.
Yeah, we've lost you again.
So I'll say something as we bring her back online there. Danielle, the PTAC, not everybody, we mentioned the Georgia PTAC. Sorry, we lost you just briefly, but I was just telling everybody, but you mentioned the Georgia PTAC. There's a PTAC, and it's because we have everybody across the country here, but there's one in your area. What you would want to do is just search on Google PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Corporation, put in your location, and they'll give you the one that Google would tell you the closest one to you. Okay. And just so I think you were leading to this, and you may have, we have lost you there, but while there is training, sometimes though, having hand-on advice from someone like Cynthia and Danielle, that's a better way to go. Saves you a lot of time, and they bring that understanding to the table. because, you know, sometimes it's just a little difficult to learn everything in
It
government
is.
contracting, and it does add value there. So I'll let you go ahead there. Okay.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that sometimes you learn from experience as well. You can get a lot of information up front. And I do encourage anyone that I have worked with to utilize those free resources to get as much knowledge as possible. But just keep in mind, once you get in there, Cynthia mentioned, you know, it's you're in it for the long haul, but a lot of things you will learn through experience as well. But yeah, what we try to do is really help you understand what to do with the certification after you get it. So it's great to get the information. Now, what do you do? And that's next. Okay. All right. So that leads on to contract management. So we already talked about, okay, what the set-asides are, how you can leverage your business by using it. Then, of course, when the opportunity comes out, you have to go through the proposal phase, and we can assist you with the proposal phase. But then next, you have the contract management. I'm dealing with this right now with a few clients, and it breaks my heart sometimes when people, they go after a particular opportunity and it's like, great, we want it, but they really don't know how to manage that contract. This is your lifeline in government contracting. Once you get it, best of your ability, and you really want to do it with 5 stars because it stays on your track record forever. And so you want to make sure you can fulfill it. So contract management, after you've done all this work on the forefront, your research, you leverage your business, you got all the certifications you needed, you had a great proposal, you won. Now you want to make sure you can carry out the deliverables, the invoicing to make sure that your company gets paid, the correspondence between the contracting officer. All of that needs to be very scheduled. Have a leadership plan in place for your project manager so you can have a good handle on that contract once it's won. It's very important as well. So that lets you fulfill it basically to the end. So you definitely want to have that in place. Okay. So what we'll talk, I'm sorry, Mark. So just real quick, and I'll close up with this, is that's some of the things that we also have a handle on with our clients, is helping you organize and manage the contract deliverables, recruit and staff for those particular opportunities, understand staff changing, you know, if you have to deal with, unfortunately, people getting fired or quitting, how do you keep your contract flowing is very important. And also we create organized matrices for your contracts that includes all the information that you need to carry out the contract with the contracting officer. Yes, Cynthia?
And be advised that sometimes you might win a contract and you might inherit a staff, or you might win a contract and another staff, you have to bring on a complete different staff. They might terminate everyone, and you have 30 days or 10 days to fulfill the complete staffing module. So when we win a contract, we've got to be ready to hit the ground running. All of the resources and everyone needs to be already connected so that we could easily say, oh, we're ready, because we only have so many days for the fulfillment to be ready to go. And you know, we've worked with someone before who inherited a staff, and it was more, they lost the staff. And so they had to create a staff in 30 days, which is not an easy feat. So just know that being ready preparation is the key to government contracting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And yes, you can move on to next. And so in a nutshell, also we have the business development and capture management which is also very important. And this kind of entails everything that we discussed before. Business development will discuss, you know, what direction does your company need to go in? Who will be your target customer in the government space? How can you leverage your business through certifications, which ultimately will be the government setting aside certain dollar amounts to whatever particular certification. How can you use that for your business? Proposals and contract management is important, but then we're going to circle back around to getting those opportunities, which is through capture management. So that business development and capture management piece is very important as well. And that's forecasting opportunities, understanding how to build those relationships for future opportunities that may not have hit the street yet. And what I mean by that is if you see market research is out there and you feel like maybe that's the direction you want to go, how do you start building that team? How do you start making connections with companies who will want to work with you in your certifications that you have? How do you find other companies that maybe have certifications that you don't have? How do you leverage that, and how do you build those relationships and find opportunities to make that happen? So one of the things that we are really big on as well, on top of everything else that we do, is finding those tailored, repeatable capture management processes, forecasting opportunities, finding a repeatable proposal management process. Once we find opportunities, how do we execute those? Creating a networking and marketing plan, building those relationships, and how to market to the right government customer. Leadership plans, which goes into the contract management, how to make sure that your leaders that you have on your team understand your government department, understand how to communicate with the contracting officer, subcontractors, employees who are contracted employees who may not be under your particular company or in that main office, but out on contracts. How do you communicate and how do you execute a project that's in a different state? If we're in Atlanta, how do I successfully execute a contract that's in California? Or even better, how do we execute and manage a contract that's overseas or international? So having those leadership plans in place are very important as well. Having the right marketing material is very important as well. Now that you have these certifications, how do you market them on your marketing material, which is your website, which is your capability statement, your brochures? Who are you trying to market to? Do you need social media? It just depends on, and what I mean by social media, it's a good source will be LinkedIn, because it's a lot of business to business networking. So a great way to network with other businesses if you're trying to grow and expand your pool of prime contractors, subcontractors, or teaming relationships. But those are the type of things that we assess. What is the best way to market your material? And creating those organized pipelines and doing competitive analysis once you have those relationships in place. So yeah, that's the business development piece and the capture management piece. So I know it probably sounds like I'm saying a mouthful of different things, but to sum it all up, all of that is very important. I know we're talking about set-asides, and I know that we are talking about certifications, but all of these components are very important once you have it, leading up to getting them, and what do you do afterwards? All of these are very important as well. And so just to move on, I see Mark already has on the capability statement. Cynthia, if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that, which kind of spins off the marketing material.
Well, and we're just going to, for the sake of time, we know that in the government market, the capability statement is equivalent to your resume or your proposal or your, what you look like on paper. So it'll detail all of your past experiences, your certifications, your current relationships, and it will give an opportunity. And you need a capability brief, you need a capability PowerPoint presentation, as well as a capability statement. You will use these at all times. We help you create these, we help you make them, and they need to be aesthetically pleasing. And we could talk about that offline because I don't want to take up all of Mark's time. But without a capability statement, you're really not even seen in the government space. When there's industry days that are set aside for you to shine and meet with contracting officers or meet with even other companies who are looking for you, your capability statement is what you will use to represent your company. And so they're not difficult. They do sell you though, and they must be current and have the information that's needed in it. It's a tool. It's just a really nice piece of marketing tool to guide your business to garnering contracts. So.
And oftentimes that will be the first thing that someone asks for when you're reaching out to them. In regards to building a relationship, they would ask, can you send me your capability statement so they can understand in a nutshell what your company does.
So, stop there. We'll see about if there's any questions if anybody has. You can, there's one about how do we contact you. If you want to type that in there, Cynthia, that would be helpful. I'll also provide the information through a follow-up email to you. as we thank Cynthia and Danielle for participating today. But I did want to just briefly, as we're waiting for questions, if we do come up, with anything, I wanted to kind of share with you some of the tools that see here. There's the beta.sam.gov, which is a download. I'm just going to show you the ones that released this morning. We do a lot of back-end review of information for you, but here's some of the 8A set-asides that were mentioned in the sole source ones and sort of example of those: cybersecurity, repairs. And this is on a spreadsheet that you're able to download each day. Hubzone, Indian small business, local area set-asides. And as we mentioned, those are basically different types of programs. And you'll see that the FAR, which is referenced in each of these. FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulations at acquisition.gov. And that will be a place or source for you to go and learn a little bit more about the rules that are involved in those programs that are out there. In addition, while there is beta.sam.gov, there was a change to it more recent at the beginning of the year, and some are finding it a little difficult to maneuver. But you can go in, and once you do actually search, then you can pull out. Let's just see here. If I was to go in and actually search consulting or something like that under contract opportunities, and it'll pull up, and then you're able to go in and sort through the actual certifications or set-asides here, and you can just pull up just those. But once again, the difficulty in getting to this data source is somewhat hard for most individuals, and we found that we do a little bit better job at GovDirections with it each day. This information is a direct feed into our system, and you can come in your member home account, and you'll find just those federal set-asides that you might be looking for. So if you're looking for women-owned small business, you would just click there, and they would show up all those that are active right now. If you're looking for service disabled, then you would be just choose the other option there, and you would see all the service disabled that are currently active right now. And then of course, as you walk through that bid information, it'll give you a little bit more detail about who to contact and how to contact them. And I would point out that, in your member home account, we do have our GovSchool options there, where you can actually go in and sort through some of in our library, learn a little bit more about that. Okay. And so let's see here. I'm seeing a note said you might lose some. Well, I think everybody's still able to hear me okay. But that's where we're at today. And I really want to thank you to see if there's any more final questions before we leave. We're at the 45-minute mark, and I think that's a good morning session. So I really want to thank you, Cynthia and Danielle, and we look forward to coming back. And I think, I think capability statement might make a really good session for our group, because that is so important. That's your calling card for government contracting, and it's important that you have that correct. And so individuals, and there are some standards to that for your use of that. But I thank you all for joining us, and we'll be sending this information to you along with the contact information, and as a follow-up with a link. Okay. So have a great morning, and goodbye.
All right. It was nice meeting everyone.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, you can. I'll keep on here as long
No,
as
I got in here late, and I noticed all your slides. Are they available for free?
Yes, sir. They sure are. We're going to send after this session. We're going to send it out to you by email. Okay.
Okay. And you have my email? I mean,
yes, sir. If you registered for the session, we have that email.
okay, good. Okay. I got my times mixed up, and I got on here. I forgot it was Eastern Standard.
Well, it's a new world out there right now. We're all like that. What day is it anyway? I forget.
Well, I'm new at this, so I'm trying to learn.
Yes, sir. It's that's the good thing about GovDirections. We think that if we make you a little bit smarter in learning, and then you'll do a better job, and you'll win more opportunities. And that's our philosophy here. And we've been doing this since 1998. If you're not familiar with our services, make sure you come check GovDirections out. We serve just at 98,000 companies worldwide now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time. And Cynthia, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap it up from there as well. You're on mute.
Okay.
It was a pleasure speaking with everyone, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And we look forward to speaking with you guys soon.
Absolutely. John, have a good day.